And with so much uncertainty hanging over the Eurozone's recovery, what will it take to get the region back on track? I spoke to Alfredo, economics professor at the University of Navarra in Barcelona, Spain. He explained what Europe has done right and what they have done wrong.
We have been doing two things. One is to try to attain fiscal balance, and the other is to regain competitiveness. And due to these two policies that we have followed, of course, we are now suffering a high rate of unemployment. That is to some extent unavoidable.
Is it the unemployment that's hurting the economy, or is it the economy that's making unemployment worse?
Well, in the case of Spain, where there was a very large housing bubble, of course, unemployment was first caused by the bursting of the bubble. There were all these construction workers who were mostly laid off. And then the recession that has followed from fiscal consolidation to a large extent has created also a lot of unemployment. So now we have unemployment coming from two sides. And now the economy is creating unemployment, or at least it is preventing employment from recovering.
So I guess specifically, you mentioned Spain. Specifically, what's going to break that cycle? Because as this continues on, it seems harder and harder to break that cycle. Unemployment, obviously a very serious situation in your neighborhood there. And a lot of folks are hoping that that's going to get better, and therefore that will help the economy. Is that the right way of thinking?
Yes, I think that the crucial variable today, certainly in the Spanish economy, is the dearth of credit. Unless we have some more credit to finance especially small and medium enterprises which have no access to capital markets, the economy is going to continue on its way down.
Countries like Spain, Italy, do they have sufficient access to both the capital markets in terms of equity and also the debt markets in terms of financing?
Only the largest enterprises and the largest financial institutions have access to international capital markets. The others don't.
Here in the United States, it's a very similar situation, although on a different scale, but there's a lot of concern that small and medium-sized enterprises have a tougher time getting credit because they don't have perhaps the history of a large company, and they end up basically not getting the financing, which means they can't expand their businesses, whether it's domestic or overseas. Yeah. Do you see the same problem there?
Well, the situation in the US and in most countries of the euro area has been different, because in the US, the authorities have not hesitated in doing whatever was needed to restore the flow of credit. And that has not really been done in Europe so far. And that is why the situation has come to a standstill right now.
We talk about the ECB a lot, the European Central Bank. I mean, they obviously have a tremendous amount of power to open up the gates, if you will, of financing. Are they doing enough to make sure that small and medium-sized businesses have access to money?
Well, the central bank, the European Central Bank, I think, has been really very well managed during these last years under Mr. Draghi. On the other hand, of course, the central bank can only lend money. And the problem of a housing bubble is that it leaves behind a very large amount of debt. It is not only a question of lending money, it's also a question of restructuring debt. And that is something a central bank is not supposed to do.